I'm low on precious mana. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I lack the needed mana. I need time to prepare that. I need time to prepare that. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I'm low on precious mana. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I need time to do that. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm low on precious mana. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. need time to prepare that. I'm out of mana. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. 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 I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I need time to prepare that. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need time to prepare that. I'm not ready yet.
Gaston's in front.
Oh, there's the fast start. That is how you do it, isn't it? Sensational. Adding a bit of muscle to the upper body as well, looks like. Top tier from Gaston.
40-15.
For the first time, showing the ability to step in and take the backhand on the rise, and that's like a laser down the line.
That's world class. Little look over to his corner there, little smile, maybe trying to relieve some of the tension. Yeah, that was definitely something that was being worked on in the lab.
Yeah, and I think maybe just smiling because it wasn't perfect, that drop.
World class, absolutely world class.
You have to admire that play from Gaston. Yeah, it's a risk serve and volleying, but it's sort of...
Yeah, it's unlucky for Gaston. That miss hit ended up landing in a very different and difficult part of the court for the Frenchman to defend against.
The forehand, racket face closed, very close to the ball on the take back, and then just whips it through with the wrist.
Oh, let's hope he's okay. And Yannick's done that before. Perfect point again from Gaston, but probably should have just gone with the traditional volley here rather than the short one.
Yeah, I think punched that one through the court. Yeah, potentially. Either way, just too much depth if he was going to go for an angle, wasn't it? And Sinner, that means his ball's bouncing up to shoulder height for Sinner to just hammer down on.
And in the end, it didn't affect Italy at all.
I mean, you've got to enjoy that play from Gaston, though, don't you? I mean, he can't...
Unreal court coverage from Sinner. And that is a brilliant end to the set for the defending champion, 6-2.
I want it better now, you know, so, and they just get straight into it. And And it was the same after the US Open final, wasn't it? If you go and read the comments from his press conference, he spoke about not having enough variety in that match.
15 all.
Consider they come from different backgrounds, different personalities, different body shapes.
I think if you look at Sinner, you look at Alcaraz is the same. You know, the work he's done with his own serve and his game, the way he continues to get better. You mentioned.
How good was that from Gaston? It was It was a great example of what we just showed you on the animation happen in real life.
It's dominate the point from there.
Game, Sinner.
As well, because I'm sure he's a bit hard up these days off Yannick off that type of return, because that's exactly the kind of prototype that he brought to the modern game in terms of returning.
Yeah, and moving on a hard court. You look at the way these guys move on a hard court. For me, that was Djokovic.
And I say that because Gaston is up on the baseline and the
In the early stages of this sort of test phase, isn't it?
I mean, it's good, Gaston. It's not bad. Against most people living on this planet Earth, it would have been good enough, but it's unfortunately not good enough against the two-time defending champion. Oh, no. I mean, out of nowhere. I don't even think the crowd have realised that it's happened. For some of them here, they are going to be massively disappointed with that.
Oh, wonderful. Bit of stand zone medicine.
I think it's a good point you make, Fitzy. It feels like the Stan Wawrinka show out here.
That's short with the return from Stan.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Those three majors and Davis Cup that he basically won for Switzerland 2014. Oh, Gera with an incredible shot. Stan was vigilant. So there are gains to be made if you can be precise.
Way to move forward. He did well. That's a great hold from the serve. He deserves credit there.
5 games all.
And the perspective or the whole sort of development of this match will change, I think, if if he can win the first set. I mean,
And Gerard does a very nice job of salvaging that opening set and turning it into success for him. He takes it by 7 games to 5.
and that wasn't a convincing effort on that volley. Much better approach. Has the grip on the smash, by the way. Oh, that's more like the stand of old. That's the way he likes to play.
Gave him a reward for one extra point. We find ourselves at a centrepiece to the delight of the Swiss fans here in Kia Arena.
Oh, gutsy.
Sweet.
I'm sure part of the reason a 40-year-old doesn't want to retire is that you will never have this again. Oh, wonderful. Well,
Crowd are willing it in. Well, Stan brings the skill.
yeah, for a moment, he thought he was a surgeon.
5 games old.
And he slides up alongside.
Oh, he didn't do enough. Overly tentative.
6-3, 6-4, 7-6.
What a match, what a day, and what a memory for all of us once again to remind us just what a great champion this Swiss superstar is. Take a bow, Stan Wawrinka. That isn't just applause you're hearing. It is respect for everything you have given everybody over the decades you have competed.
Game. Ali. Good start. Well, that's impressive. And a good volley. And saved with a quality first serve. What a well-played point from Quentin Alice.
(1914). The great powers of Europe are divided into two rival alliances, the Triple Entente. France, Britain, and Russia, united by fear and suspicion of Germany, Europe's new strongest power.
Yeah, no, we get that. I get that. We gotta make sure that you're not.
Do you have a warrant?
No, that's why we're.
Yeah, you see that sign? Yeah. Sign says no soliciting. What you're doing is basically soliciting. You understand that, right? Yeah. It means you're not welcomed here. Okay. Bye. Try that again.
We're here because of the comments you made online about the Jewish community.
So what?
No, I'm saying, are you?
I have a freedom of speech, dude.
Yeah, no, we get that. I get that. We gotta make sure that you're not.
Do you have a warrant?
No, that's why we're.
Yeah, you see that sign? Yeah. Sign says no soliciting. What you're doing is basically soliciting. You understand that, right? Yeah. It means you're not welcomed here. Okay. Bye. Stay off the lawn, please.
Fine, we don't want. What was that? Fine.
So, you want to be a tough guy? You want to head down and you want to artificially incite violence? So, you want to be a tough guy? You want to head down and you want to artificially incite violence and riots between Americans? Well, you better be ready to face the consequences. And it doesn't look like Jake was ready for it this time. Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and we have a FAFO alert for you today. And what does that mean for all you non-Gen Zers out there? Around and find out. And who found out? Yes, Jake Lang. If you don't know who Jake Lang is, he's the fake Christian Jewish agitator whose hobbies include going to protest, pretending to be a Christian, and trying to incite violence between Christians and Muslims. And he flew a little too close to the sun today in Minneapolis, getting the ever-living shit beat out of him as he got mobbed, had piss thrown in his face, and literally ran away crying from the protests. And I got to tell you, I've got zero sympathies for this dork. So that's what we're going to talk about in the video today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Let's jump into this thing. Let's see what old Jake Lang got himself into. So yes, Jake Lang, who has a history of doing shit like this, attempting to light holy scriptures like the Quran on fire in front of Muslims.
So they want to pepper spray our people. We'll show them what's up.
So yes, you can't be any bigger of a douche than that. That really goes for anyone that goes down to these protests, and that would include if you were to try to burn a Bible in front of Christians or burn a Quran in front of Muslims. It's all done to specifically try to agitate people and cause violence and uprising. And Jake Lang just happened to get exactly what he wanted and found out today he's really not as tough as he thought he was. Let's take a look at what happened to Jake down in Minneapolis.
Wow, man. Look at this shit, man.
So yes, tough guy Jake Lang f***ed around, found out that he's actually really not that tough. And turns out there's actually consequences for your actions. And guys, I'm all about peaceful protesting, getting out there, exercising your First Amendment rights, but that's not what Jake Lang does he? No, he goes to these events specifically to try to cause uprisings and incite violence. And well, he got exactly what he wanted this time. And let's be very clear who he actually is, out of his own mouth.
Kicking me out. I am Jewish. If you say anything negative about Israel, I am Jewish. My sister served in the IDF. I was bar mitzvahed on the Wailing Wall in Israel. I am a Jew.
And so that's who this guy is, out of his own mouth. And you may be saying, Nate, you're not one typically to cheer on violence against someone like this. No, I'm not. However, I also don't have any sympathy for Jake Lang, because Jake Lang's entire purpose is to, again, be a fake Christian who goes in and tries to stir up and incite violence and create divide between Christians and Muslims to try to drive up Islamophobia. Why? On behest of our greatest ally. That's his entire purpose. That's what he's doing. And so people like Jake are actually the biggest threat to America, because what he's attempting to do is create these artificial divides. We all know them. Left versus right, Christian versus Muslim, black versus white. All of these divisive techniques that try to keep the American people quartered off, sectioned, and keep us attacking each other so that none of us actually unite to actually address the real big issues in this country, which is, I don't know, the corporate elite apparatus that's raping our country to death. But if people like Jake Lang can keep the situation agitated and keep Christians and Muslims attacking each other instead of, again, uniting, well, that's exactly what our greatest ally wants. Because they even said themselves in the Knesset a couple weeks ago, the best way that Israel can regain support from America is to stoke back up Islamophobia. And that's exactly what Jake Lang's purpose is out on the streets. And I'll show you exactly that. Here's a clip of him wrapping a Quran in bacon, trying to shove it in Muslims' faces. And so when you do shit like this, what do you expect is going to happen? Again, FAFO. And I'll tell you this, conversely, if I was at a protest and somebody grabbed a Bible and tried to light it on fire in front of me, I would absolutely stop that person, physically intervene, and stop them from burning that Bible. So why would we expect any different from any other religion? Whether you agree with someone's religion or not, we can still show basic respect to our fellow Americans. Especially because, again, it's not even authentic. He's not even a real Christian who's out here trying to Bible beat his beliefs. Now, here's some more of him actually fleeing the scene in a car.
Oh my God. Drive. Just drive. Stop. Wait, let them go. Let them go. Hey, pull over. Pull over. Leave it. Get out of here. Leave it up. Get out of here. No. Y'all just let him leave. It's not worth it. Hey. We don't know him. Let him out. Let him out.
And so I don't really care where you fall on the political or religious spectrum, whether you're, I mean, these are obviously the ICE protests down there, whether you're pro-ICE, anti-ICE, Republican, Democrat, Christian, Muslim. People like Jake Lang are not a positive benefit to figuring out the solutions of the problem. More divisiveness in this country and purposeful divisiveness is the last thing that we need. And so what you're going to see from right-wing talking heads and MAGA and everything about this is, oh my God, look at the Islamic violence. Look how terrible this is. No, that's not what any of this is. This is all 100% Jake's own making. And there just turns out, again, like I said earlier, there are consequences to your actions. There's consequences to the decisions that we make. And if we decide to go down to protest, to purposefully incite riots and incite violence between people, well, then again, I don't have any sympathy for you when that violence gets turned on you. Because, see, this is actually a unconventional warfare subversion technique that is used all around the world, and typically by foreign adversaries that want to try to destabilize governments. And yes, the United States does a lot of this in foreign countries, aka look at Iran right now. So what you have is someone like Jake Lang, a foreign operative that comes down into a protest or some type of situation like this to purposefully try to crowd manipulate, it's called. So he can go down there and try to incite unrest and try to incite violence to, again, push forward a political agenda or ideology that makes a certain demographic look bad, in this case, the Islam or the Muslim populations in these areas. So that way they can get clips of this where he's being attacked and he can demonstrate himself as this poor, poor victim that's just standing up for America. But we all know that's exactly the opposite of what he's actually doing. And so as Christians, this is the last thing that we should accept. We should absolutely call out some Jewish Zionist who's LARPing and pretending to be a Christian, trying to incite violence between Christians and Muslims in America. That we shouldn't have any patience for. And so when you see this idiot, you need to remind yourselves that this is not a patriot. This is not an American freedom fighter. This is not some Christian nationalist. And if you decide to do that and you end up in a position like this, I don't have any sympathies for you. Yeah, gonna be hard to live down the crying on camera there, Jake. So, you want to be a tough guy? You want to head down and you want to artificially incite violence and riots between Americans? Well, you better be ready to face the consequences, and it doesn't look like Jake was ready for it this time. So, that's gonna do it for this one. I will catch y'all in the next video.
AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built into. That's why it's no surprise that more than 85% of the Fortune 500 use the ServiceNow AI platform. While other platforms duct tape tools together, ServiceNow seamlessly unifies people, data, workflows, and AI, connecting every corner of your business. And with AI agents working together autonomously, anyone in any department can focus on the work that matters most. Learn how ServiceNow puts AI to work for people at ServiceNow.com. Hey everyone, welcome to Quick Serve, brought to you by ServiceNow. We are covering day 3 from down in Australia. Pretty fun day. It's starting to get real.
It's pretty good.
Osaka gets through 6-4 in the third.
Did you see her outfit?
I didn't, no.
It's jellyfish inspired. Pretty cool.
What does that even mean? What's the jellyfish inspired?
Well, it's just, you didn't see it. She was like draped in she was like draped in like this veil. It had a butterfly on it because the butterfly landed on her face. Sean just told me about it.
Imagine not having seen it and then hearing what you just said to me. Repeat what you just said to me.
No, people heard it.
She came out in a veil and it was inspired
like a veil,
by jellyfish?
white hat. She had like a thing. Yeah, and she said it was inspired by a jellyfish. It's probably on screen right now.
How do you get, like, the only thing I see, like, when I see a jellyfish, I'm like, just don't step on it. Like, how are you inspired by one?
Because it's strong but fluid.
Oh, God. Okay. Madison Keys won also. Not easy. Only time as defending champion, kind of getting the nerves out a little bit. Belinda Bencic still rolling. Rybakina rolling. Maya Joint, who is a good Australian player, and Kazakhina, newly Australian, having converted her citizenship from Russia, both go down. It is tough playing in front of the home crowd. In a battle of like top 3 players from 2017, Pliskova takes down Sloane Stephens, but credit to Sloane for qualifying. Be fun if Pliskova kind of re-entered the conversation. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. The seed killer from the slams the last couple of years. Laura Sigmund is just chopping fools.
Yeah.
Samsonova this time. Layla Fernandez goes down to Jen.
Ava loses in 3 sets. Didn't see that one coming.
That's a tough one. Bracket didn't go that well today. Could be worse. It could be Tucky Sean. Should we get to it?
Joe, ow.
No, we don't need to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. Obviously, we're going to talk about it. On the men's side, Ethan Quinn takes out Greek Spore. Vachereau was through yesterday. Sinner got a little batting practice, winning a couple sets, and then Gaston said, that's it. I've had enough of this year. Tsitsipas gets a win, which was needed. Musetti wins in 4. Hachinov beats Mickelson in 5. We knew that was a coin flip one way or the other. Mickelson is really good. Hachinov is one of those guys that gets better with the longer format.
Okay.
Which is why I should have taken him in my bracket, but I didn't. Maybe a little home cooking there.
Yeah.
Save your comments. You choose the American. Yeah, no, we're good. We're good at tennis right now. Like, we're really good at tennis.
Pretty good.
That's what. Pretty good. Pretty good. Taylor Fritz gets through. Mahach rolled Grigor.
Yeah.
Not easy. Monfils goes down to a wild card Sweeney. You hope this isn't kind of. Monfils doesn't lose a lot of like battles of attrition to players.
Like a nearly 4-hour match.
Rank like 1, whatever.
Yeah.
Hopefully he is able to turn it around. Hopefully we'll see him in Australia again. You know, you get to a certain age and you're going, is this the last time we see him? We don't know.
I think he said this is it, but who knows? It's sometimes you lose in the first round, maybe not.
Most liked guy on tour. Gail says a lot of things.
Yeah.
Pure entertainment.
I mean, his wife's going to keep playing, so if he's there, he's like, maybe I'll give it a shot.
It's actually kind of funny. It's true. Like, she's away anyways. I might as well go and cash a check.
Yeah, it's not like he's going to get like fat and lazy. The dude's in great shape all the time.
No, he's like been skinny forever. He can dodge raindrops. No problem. And then the a big like shot across the bow today. Shelton gets through against Humbert, which that was a rough first round draw. Like Ben getting through that, a nice like 3, 6, and 6, kind of get the nerves going a little bit. I like that result a lot. Ethan Quinn on Greek Spore, like 2, 2, and 3 or whatever it was. That was
American college tennis.
Hubie Hurkacz gets through against Bergs. I took the other side of that one. I'm always like I'm so happy to be wrong if it's someone like a Hubie. It just works hard, professional, has been a really good player, top 10 guy for a long, like good. I'm happy he's healthy. I'm happy he's playing well. I took Pechi Pericard. Baez beats him in 5. Lost a couple of 5-setters, guys. Baez is playing great. Chopped some people last week in Auckland. Menchik gets through in a tough one. And then Spizzirri takes out Fonseca.
I had to Google him.
No, he's from University of Texas, won a match last year at the U.S. Open. But, I mean, if we're looking at this, I mean, you have some sound from is delivery of the day?
It's the perfect delivery, and it also translated into our stat of the day.
Delivery of the day.
It'll be the perfect delivery of the day. If you'd like to sponsor it, please. Mike at Serve Media.
Do you have a cricket sound, Sean? Insert, edit. There you go.
But it'll also go into our stat of the day.
Shameless. Let's hear it.
Sponsored by ServiceNow. But here, check out the sound from Ben Shelton.
Are there any common qualities that you think college players have?
Yeah, I think college players are dogs for the most part. You know, I don't feel like there's that many college players who come on tour and make it and are soft. I think you got to get used to dealing with a lot when you're in college. Not everything is catered to you. You know, being a professional tennis player is a very self-centered job. Everything is catered to you. You know what your team does for you, and you have all these people trying to make your life easier, and you can kind of lose sight of life, I guess.
Yeah, so Shelton was answering a question from a reporter that was saying, hey, in this year's draw, there are 34 American college players. Just a decade ago, there was 10.
Yeah,
Thompson.
total. No, not just American. Total. There's not 34
It said
Americans.
34 American collegiate players.
Men and women.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I was thinking on the men's side.
No, sorry, American collegiate.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're not American players.
Yeah. You know who else is a dog?
Who?
Carlos Alcaraz. You know who else is a dog?
Well, I mean, all right. So, but like, hey, I mean, you have these guys. You have these guys. Medvedev,
Yeah,
Medi.
yeah. So but it's just giving Ben shit, which is fun. He can take it. He's got a good attitude about it. But to his point, like if we rewind to like middle 2000s, and we would have guys come from college as practice partners on our Davis Cup team.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them couldn't play at all. I'm just going to lay it out there. You'd have these guys that would come in and like win NCAAs and come, and you're like, oh, that guy's not going to make it at all. That is not the case now. Like, it is, find me a better system than college tennis right now to produce players.
I know, and it's one of the biggest underdog stories of all last year, right? Was Vachereau, Texas A&M guy. But you're like, at some point, are you going to be like, are these guys not underdogs, or they're just dudes that went to college?
Yeah, but like think about
players
it though.
That went to college.
It's like, okay, you're from. Now I named like the blue chip prospects in my.
So you want to be a tough guy? You want to head down and you want to artificially incite violence and.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Part of the Problem. I'm very excited for this one. One of the cool things about doing what I do is I get to meet and talk to a lot of people who I really admire, who I've learned a lot from, and today's episode is a great example of that. Our guest today is Max Blumenthal, who is just one of the best authors and journalists out there. I highly recommend his stuff. His book, Goliath, is one of the best books I've ever read on the Israel-Palestine conflict, and of course, The Gray Zone, where he is a reporter and the founder. Has done some of the absolute best reporting over the last 2 years on the Gaza stuff. Just really invaluable work, and particularly to me personally, I mean, I've really benefited from the work they've done. So thank you so much, Max, for taking the time and joining us.
Thank you. And thanks for that warm introduction. I hope I can live up to it. And thanks for all the interventions that you've made since October 7th.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a wild time. So I want to get into a lot of the Charlie Kirk stuff that you've been reporting on lately, but I got to ask you, just because I have you here and we're recording a day earlier, the show will be coming out on Monday, but today, Sunday, this morning, the Prime Minister of the UK announced their recognition, desire to see a Palestinian state, and then the government of Israel put out a statement about how, they don't recognize this recognition. I'm just curious, because you understand this better than I do. What do you think is the significance of this? I mean, obviously a Palestinian state will not be, we're not about to realize that anytime soon. And in fact, the destruction of Gaza continues as we speak. But how significant of a moment is this, or what are your thoughts on it?
I think it would be more significant if the European Football Association banned Israel. And it would actually have a material value if the UK and the EU got together and pressured Germany to stop all weapons shipments to Israel. That would actually possibly upend the genocide and save lives. What they're doing here is a hollow gesture to do something. It will have some diplomatic value because it will provide the Palestinian Authority with more of a voice at the UN, but it's the same Palestinian Authority that collaborates on the ground with the Israeli military. There is no Palestinian state on the ground. The West Bank now is a prison. all the cities are completely surrounded by military and settlers and military behind the settlers. And it's impossible for people in the West Bank to travel between Palestinian people, to travel between their own cities in what's known as Area A. So I don't know where this Palestinian state would be. There have been record new settlement authorizations in the West Bank. And of course, we see Israel right now, as we speak, is destroying Gaza City, which is the administrative, cultural, and governmental base of Gaza. So Gaza would have been part of a Palestinian state. But then again, how would people from the Gaza Strip get to the West Bank? And then where's East Jerusalem in this? Israel has cut off E1, which is a corridor of settlements. They're constructing in this corridor called E1. I visited it multiple times, and it basically encircles East Jerusalem from the west. So it cuts it off from the Palestinian West Bank, and then you have the apartheid wall, which cuts that off. So like there is no possibility under what Israel has done of a Palestinian state at this moment. So it's a hollow gesture. And then what is the enforcement mechanism? Like, how can you tell the Israelis, you must allow people from East Jerusalem to go to the West Bank? They're all part of this state. They all have to be together. You must give them borders. The enforcement mechanism is what BDS, the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement, was created for, which is to pressure Israel. And this is something, the S is for sanctions. So the governments could just sanction the crap out of Israel until they allow Palestinians to live as citizens in their own state. But they're not going to do that because of the internal political pressure they face in the UK from the Israel lobby, which helped get Keir Starmer to where he is, which destroyed Jeremy Corbyn, who would have actually potentially tried to enforce a Palestinian state. So what really needs to happen right now, what we need to be focused on, is saving lives. And lives can only be saved by cutting off all weapons to Israel and sanctioning Israel. Then this all ends. Then we can talk about diplomatic paths forward. I personally favor a binational state where everyone has equal rights. But right now, we're witnessing a genocide. It's a Holocaust, and we just need to stop it. And this will not stop it. Then there's one last point to your question. This does elucidate the reality of Israel that I presented in my book, Goliath, which I know you read. Mm-hmm. And it's an Israel where there is no one, maybe a few hundred people who actually support a Palestinian state. So everyone says the problem is Netanyahu, big bad Bibi. He's always been against a Palestinian state. He has guaranteed his supporters that he will prevent a Palestinian state. But where's the furthest? Who is the figure furthest to the left of Netanyahu who still has a voice in Israeli politics? His name is Yair Golan. He comes out of, actually, I think, the Meretz party, but he has been a ferocious militarist and supporter of the genocide in Gaza. And he just issued a statement condemning the recognition of a Palestinian state. There's no one in Israeli politics who supports a Palestinian state. And even if they did, they wouldn't support it along 67 borders. So we have to deal with Israel as it is.
All right, guys, let's take a moment and thank our sponsor for today's show, which is The Wellness Company. We've all heard the studies. Testosterone in young men is drastically decreasing every decade. One major study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found a healthy 22-year-old in 2000 had double the testosterone of a 22-year-old in 2025. So if you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s, you might want to check this out. Mars from The Wellness Company, a doctor-formulated nutraceutical designed to restore vitality without synthetic hormones or stimulants. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I mean, all of that very good points. I think that, I was always, after kind of waking up to the nature of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I always thought of myself as a two-state solution guy. It just seemed to me to be more like of a practical sell. That, look, the Israelis are never going to accept one state because they think that means they lose their entire identity as a Jewish state. So it's an easier sell to just convince people, okay, but you can't occupy them. You got to give them their own sovereignty. And a couple of the things that have made me really re-question that, and as you said there, you think that one democratic state is a better goal to push for. Number one was when I was reading about the mindset of the Israeli leadership class. around the 2005 disengagement from Gaza. And it really was the thing that spooked them, was when the Gaza leadership started pushing for a one-state solution rather than a two-state solution, because they just like that. And so that just got to me. It was like, oh, if that's what they're afraid of, then maybe that makes sense. But the other thing is really what you were getting at there, that there's just been so many. I mean, the purpose of all of these actions have been to make it impossible to ever have a two-state solution. And we're now, if you think back to like Camp David or something like that, almost 25 years later, and it's 25 years of putting poison pills and roadblocks in the way of even like the framework of what a two-state solution potentially during Oslo could have been. And so it does seem like the logical conclusion from that is that you're never going to get that, and the best case is to push for one state. And it is, I got to say, I'm sure you agree with me on this, but like when one of the funniest moments in American politics over the last year, certainly, was during that debate for the New York City mayoral Democratic primary, where they tried to, it's like how upside down the world is, that their big gotcha of Mamdani was that he said he favors one state with equal rights for all. And somehow, Max, you're supposed to hear that as like a Hitlerian statement of some kind, like equal rights. This monster. And so it does seem like maybe that's just the best thing to push for.
Yeah, I mean, you had like black New York politicians on stage recognizing an ethno-supremacist apartheid state and attacking him for it. It's kind of like an upside down world. And one state solution, or a binational state where everyone has equality under the law, actually does represent a dismantlement of the exclusivist Jewish state. And that's not a problem with a one-state solution. It shows what the problem with the so-called Jewish state is, which is that it's an ethno-supremacist state that provides no rights to the indigenous people who actually represent a majority between the river and the sea, who have been there for hundreds and hundreds of years longer than the Jewish settler class. Zionism must be dismantled in order for peace to take root. And until that takes place, we will witness a continuous state of warfare and untold horrors like we have never seen, including waking up every day to see children who Israel defines, because they're not Jewish, as demographic threats being shredded day after day. This isn't also because Israel is, because of the Jewishness of the Israeli state. It's because of the ethno-supremacist character. We had the same problem with apartheid South Africa. We had the same problem with the United States when it was a settler state, which is that until it can ethnically cleanse the indigenous population or crush their resistance, as they tried to do in South Africa, they cannot consolidate the state as a so-called democracy.
Yeah.
And this is why we see like leadership rising in Israel, like Itamar Ben-Gvir or Bezalel Smotrich, but especially Ben-Gvir, because Ben-Gvir said something that he believes something that I actually agree with from another angle that's fundamental to his worldview. And this comes from his mentor, Meir Kahane, who really is, I think, the most towering figure in Israel today. We can talk about who he is, or you can just look him up. It's spelled Kahane. And what he said, what Kahane said and what Ben-Gvir says is, you simply cannot have a Jewish and democratic state, which is Israel's selling point to the world. You have to choose, because if you're democratic, you're eventually going to let the Palestinians vote, and they're going to vote in their own politicians and eventually their own prime minister, because they're growing. They're a demographic threat. And so we have to consolidate the Jewishness by eliminating them. And that's what Israel's decided to do in the Gaza Strip. And they're carrying out a Holocaust. I mean, they're openly saying it, that they're trying to push the population out of their homes by blowing their homes up and then driving them into Egypt. So what we're witnessing is the fundamental logic of Zionism playing out in real time.
Yeah, and well, this is what Benny Morris, I think, was saying all those years ago when he was telling the truth. And he said that transfer was always, I forget his exact words, that it was always inherent in the Zionist project. But obviously, yeah, you can only be like, it's I think always been the true nature of the Israeli experiment, right? Is that like they want to pay lip service to being a democracy. But the thing is, if you have these two values that are being a Jewish state and being a democracy, well, you can only achieve both of those if you're willing to ethnically cleanse the population. If you're building a state on Arab land, then you have to work out the numbers to be so that it's been around 80-20 for most of Israel's existence because they moved the rest of the Arabs out and keep them out. And so there it is. Like, you can kind of be one or the other. And it's been at this point so ingrained in their own conception of themselves and also in their selling message to the rest of the world is, we're the only democracy in the Middle East. And so in order to be able to say that, they have to keep this amount of pressure. I always think back to, and I'm not saying it's perfect, but it really is fascinating. If you've ever read, I'm sure you have, but if you ever read the write-up on the Israel-Palestine or on the Zionist question in the King Crane Commission after World War I, or they basically, it's not exactly perfect, but they basically get it completely right. They go, man, this idea of building a Jewish state here is going to take an enormous amount of force to create and maintain. And there's just no way you're going to do this without having a permanent state of war where the Arabs are your enemies indefinitely. And it's like, damn, if that wasn't pretty impressive to think of that in the aftermath of World War I. But I guess if you're over there, that was just the reality on the ground.
Yeah. And it was at a time of high colonialism around the world. So there were the great powers would have been supportive of this. They just wanted to be in control. And that's why the Zionist movement launched a terrorist campaign against the British Mandate authorities. But one of I think one of the other major intellectual forces who looms large in Israel today, who employed Netanyahu's father, Benjamin Milikowski, in New York, was Zev Jabotinsky, the father of revisionist Zionism. And if you read his seminal essay, The Iron Wall, which Israel's first prime minister, who was a labor Zionist, sort of more socialist-oriented Zionist, actually adopted, what Jabotinsky openly says in that essay is the native population has always resisted colonialism. Just look at what's happening in Africa. Look at the Native Americans. The Palestinian, he didn't call them Palestinians, but the Arabs will resist us as well. And the only way that we can build a Jewish state is with an iron wall of bullets and bayonets. And so many Israeli leaders, Moshe Dayan, for example, in a famous speech at the Gaza border in 1953, said the same thing. Moshe Dayan said, we cannot plow a field or build a home without the steel helmet or the automatic cannon. So this is just a straightforward colonial mentality, and it's playing out at a time when of post-colonialism throughout the world, when post-colonial countries like China are rising to global superpower status. So Israel's completely anachronistic, and they're wondering why everyone is disgusted by what they're doing. Everyone hates them, and it's because they belong to another much worse era. And the only thing holding them up is Washington and its continuous supply, its air bridge of baby buster bombs.
Yeah. And that is why the kind of the control of the American propaganda machine has always been so important to the Zionist cause, because that's really what it comes down to. And so that's a good transition into what we were going to talk about today, which of course is the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the reporting that you've done since then on what exactly the relationship between Charlie Kirk and the Israeli government and the broader kind of Israel lobby and Zionist influencer class. And this is a very interesting topic to me. I was somewhat involved in a lot of these, in the center of what the controversy was about, although I do think it was more about Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly than it was about me. But so, it seemed like that did. Although, I think for a while, there were a lot of people who were actually pretty pissed off about me being there. And I think in some ways, because I'm not nearly as big a name, particularly in like right-wing or like Republican turning point type events, but I'm not nearly as big a high profile figure as Tucker Carlson or Megyn Kelly. And so me being there, I always thought was more of, it demonstrated more of a choice on Charlie's part. Like, he didn't have to have me there. Whereas like Tucker Carlson, I mean, if you can get him at Turning Point USA, how are you not going to have the biggest right-wing voice in America there? But anyway, let me ask you like the broadest of questions that you could kind of take in whatever direction you want to. With the whole Charlie Kirk thing and the reporting that you've been doing on it, where are you right now? Like, what do you think the story is here? What do you think is important for people to understand about this?
Well, I'm working on a news story, and it's pretty much along the same lines as all the other stories I've been reporting, which is that, in the days and weeks before his death, Charlie Kirk was facing not just increasing Zionist pressure as the date approached of his first appearance on his campus-wide cross-country tour, but that actually he was bleeding Zionist donations. And I got the name of a major donor who apparently pulled out. I haven't dropped the piece yet, so I don't want to sell it out, but I just got him on the phone and he hung up on me when I asked him about it. So it seems like there's a there. And that they were pretty upset at Charlie Kirk because there's no space for allowing comic Dave Smith on stage for debate. There's no space for debate on this issue. It doesn't matter what the purpose of the debate is. There's no, it's like how they say there should be no daylight between the United States and Israel. Charlie Kirk was allowing daylight.
Right.
Everything I reported is backed up by public statements by Charlie Kirk and now by someone who had positioned himself as his personal Israeli handler. It's a guy named Rabbi Pesach Wolicki. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's from a group called Israel 365 Action, which is apparently funded by the Phallic family of Duty Free America, who sponsored the settlement, illegal settlement enterprise in the West Bank, real hardliners. He's also close to Regent University, which is funded by Pat Robertson. He's one of these rabbis that like his job is to groom Christians in the United States to support Israel and to support them as much as possible. I got some documents that his group had been sending to conservative influencers, offering them like free tours of Israel, biblical sites, going to Gaza, the Gaza border, etc. And he actually has given a series of interviews where he said that he was talking to Charlie Kirk almost every day leading up to his tour and giving him talking points, and that they were kind of having there was a running argument, and that Charlie Kirk, he said, was believing a lot of things he heard in the media, and that there were people close to him who were pushing him to be more anti-Israel, and that they spoke like almost like the day before his Utah Valley University fateful speech where he was horrifically killed. There were also all these Zoom meetings leading up to Charlie Kirk's final days that I learned about, including with Joshua Hammer, this really charismatic figure that you debated. I don't know how you stood up to that. Just blizzard of facts. But he's one of Netanyahu's young voices in the media, a Newsweek editor. Sean McGuire, who's emerging as sort of like this junior Bill Ackman figure, who's a venture capitalist, very close to Elon, owns a house in Israel. He was on the Zoom call. He actually deleted a tweet where he mentioned the Zoom call, which is interesting. So Charlie Kirk was just under constant pressure. And just imagine having like this cabal of representing a sort of niche movement that is giving you enormous amounts of money and offering you more in order to say what they want, just constantly calling you. Rabbi Wolicki said they were planning to set up a WhatsApp group to feed Charlie talking points throughout his tour. And they said they were very worried because people were asking him about Gaza and the genocide, and they didn't want him to go off script. But just imagine having those people in your ear all the time, just constantly managing you. And that's what this Hamptons influencer retreat was as well, that I had exposed. I broke that story. I mean, there were a lot of people there were rumors going around about it. And Bill Ackman, who's one of the biggest pro-Netanyahu money men in the country, this investor who's worth $9 billion, sort of convened the meeting in coordination with Charlie Kirk. And what Ackman's agenda was there, and I think there was a larger agenda with deeper forces that were sort of embedding themselves into TPUSA as entities like the Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire failed. What they wanted to do is basically buy impressions for Israel. So they were cultivating all of these young influencers to go to Israel, to say whatever Israel wanted. I mean, just go to the Instagram page right now of Xavier de Rousseau of PragerU, which is like an Israeli, I consider it basically an Israeli cutout. Like Marissa Straight, who runs that, is a veteran of Israel's cyber spying division, Unit 8200. And she's supposed to be like creating the next generation of America first. But go to this guy's Instagram page, like every subject. This is a young black man from Louisiana. Every subject is like Zionism, Israel. It's obvious what he's doing. He's like a paid actor. He's a talented paid actor. He's a paid actor for these Zionist billionaires. And so they were trying to groom more and like bring in like attractive women, anything that will keep the looming collapse of Israel's standing within the conservative movement from finally taking place. And where Charlie Kirk was not where we are. He was sort of, I mean, I look at him and I've been following him for 10 years. He's like a natural born political operative. And all he thinks about is politics and votes and getting out the vote in districts and networking, doing media. He's very good at it. I don't agree with anything he said, but he's good at that. And all of a sudden, there's this grassroots revolt among young conservatives on Israel, and he faces the Groyper Wars, and nobody's like, very few of them support it, except for the Jewish conservatives, who are like only 7 or 8% of American Jews even vote Republican. So they're in the minority, but they have more money than, I mean, they command billions of dollars. So he has to answer to them and the conservative grassroots at the same time. And he's stuck in the middle in an impossible position, and he couldn't bridge the divide. And, you know, he's constantly on camera too. And sometimes he would just go off script and start saying the things he would hear from his friends and the things he was feeling. And he may have actually been disgusted by what he was seeing in Gaza. He certainly was opposed to the Iran war. And, you know, my reporting that he was actually going up in the White House and lobbying Trump and others against attacking Iran, which it was like totally forbidden, has been corroborated by J.D. Vance himself. What really seemed to upset Charlie Kirk wasn't, though, like maybe the same things that upset us about this issue. It was that this coterie or cabal of billionaires who really seem only concerned with the fate of a foreign country was telling him what to do in his own country when he was supposed to be the face and voice of America first. And that was driving him crazy in his final days. So look at the reaction right now. I mean, look at the reaction. Candace Owens went live like a half hour after I dropped my piece and provided additional details and gave, you know, a really stirring narrative about the influencer summit based on what she knew. And she is the target of like a tsunami of attacks, all from those very same forces. They're trying to totally destroy her. They're trying to like wipe her off the map the same way they're wiping Gaza off the map. They're overreacting because they can see the writing on the wall. Candace Owens, look at her engagement. I mean, hundreds of thousands of views when she goes live, then millions and millions more. Everyone's the conservative youth, but the whole, like, young people across the country are hanging on her every word. Nobody cares what Ben Shapiro has to say. It's all fake.
Yeah, well, I think that, you know, as I've been saying for a while, I mean, I was talking about this. I did a whole show on this after I did that debate because it was such a fascinating dynamic to me. But the thing you could see was that really what separates Charlie Kirk from Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson or Dave Rubin or any of these other guys was that he had to keep dealing with the young people. Like that was his whole job. And not just that he had to deal with them, but he had to keep young activists on board to volunteer. These are like the true believers, you know, in a cause. These aren't, you know, ground operatives. And you got to do this with a demographic where support for it. I mean, it's like, I don't know what other thing I could even compare it to? I think maybe for people who are a little bit younger, maybe you can't appreciate this because things have changed so much with like the rise of wokeism and the LGBTQ stuff. But like gay marriage, I guess I kind of for like a while in the country, gay marriage was kind of a controversial issue. And then the pro-gay marriage side just won out. Like it just went from being like a divisive 50-50 issue to being an issue where it was like 80-20. It was like everyone's just like, dude, no one cares. Like let gay people get married. Who cares? And no, that may have changed after, the decade that followed. But, it's an issue where like young people, I mean, Megyn Kelly herself said the other day, she went, no one under 30 supports Israel. Like it's basically, it just does. So he's in this terrible place. And his whole job, like you said, is to keep the big tent going, the big tent that can win in November. But there is no tent big enough if it doesn't include Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. I mean, like if you have to, it's one thing for him to say, I have to exclude Nick Fuentes, but to have to exclude Tucker Carlson, well, then where's the tent? There is no tent left. People like Ben Shapiro, he's removed. He's in his studio. He's still got, his backers and his operation. He doesn't have to necessarily engage with the fact that, say, on Twitter, everybody's calling him out for what the obvious, the foreign spy that he is. But Charlie Kirk had to go to these events. Yeah. So he had to find a way. And I think you could see it all over him. And I don't mean this, I'm not adding anything. I told you, I gave the audience the information I had, which is just that basically he told me, we don't actually disagree that much on this topic. But I could see, everyone could see in his public appearances, the struggle in this dynamic. And then it became this thing that it reinforced itself. So he would go, okay, well, I got to keep this together somehow. Maybe I moderate a debate on the subject. Then I can still present myself to my young activists as I'm the guy who's willing to have this debate. Right. But to the Zionist donors, that was way too far. And so now they're furious at him. And as you know well, Max, I'm sure you experienced this quite a bit in your career. I've experienced this quite a bit myself. There is some personality trait or characteristic to the ultra hardcore Zionists that for whatever reason, when you start drifting a little bit, they don't go, hey, I get your point and I see why you're asking these questions and this sure is a complicated issue. Let's come back here. When you start drifting this much, they go, you're Adolf Hitler. Yep. And you go, wait, what? I'm Adolf Hitler? Like, no, I'm like just drifting. And then